Hi, my name is Mwangala Chakalashi Santos, and welcome to the program where we bring you inspiring, transformative, and life-changing stories that are meant to leave a lasting and positive impact on your lives. Now, if we look at what is currently happening in the country, there's a strong perception that everything has gone wrong, that things don't seem to be adding up. Is that true? Joining me on the set today is wise man Henry Zulu, who is a media and marketing consultant. Mr. Zulu, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you on Ignite.
I really appreciate it. I think after this program, we should be able to be igniting certain things that, like you said, are seemingly in the negative sense.
Oh, fantastic. And that's why we brought you on the show, so that we could ignite.
I appreciate that.
Now, the perception out there, wise man, is that everything seems to be going wrong. And I know that it was in a time like this one that you built Wise Focus Media. Can you take us through that story?
Honestly speaking, like you've said, it's a perception, so it's somebody's mind. And so I'd like to say that mainly it's about the mindset, and the few people that are thinking like that are beginning to pollute other minds to begin to believe that that's what it is. So you asking me about building Wise Focus Media, was the economy bad at that time? The economy will never be good all the time. It's one's mind that then looks at the situation that you are in, and you begin to transform yourself and start igniting certain things that will then make you become someone that is better, and your life and things that you're doing will become better than this current situation. I wouldn't talk much about the economy because I'm not an economist, but to talk about personalities and why other people are complaining, whilst other people are making it in the right space where other people are complaining.
Exactly. I mean, people are making money.
Exactly. I mean, you look at Congo, for instance. In DRC, there is war. There's gunshots all over, but people are making $1 million in there. So it's a question of their mindset. We've got certain foreigners who I cannot mention in terms of which country they're coming from. Right in this country, they're making more money than the owners of the country. So what are you talking about here? You're simply talking about the mindset and also the focus of wanting to make sure that you do what you're doing and you do it right. You also love what you do. The moment you love what you do, then you'll be able to get up every morning and do it. My fellow Zambians, some of them, I must be very careful here.
Yeah.
Some of them are so negative in the way they look at things, and sometimes some of them lazy, sometimes some of them very stubborn. They wouldn't want to listen to other people's ideas and embrace them. Some of them not very cooperative. They wouldn't want to work with other people. So as a result, they find themselves in that situation. Yes, I did build Wise Focus Media, and it crashed. I'm happy it did crash because there are certain lessons that I have learned which I would not have learned if I had not started it. So what is very important in such a situation, times like these, is to get to be in a room of your own. Think through, other than thinking through based on what people are saying. Think through questioning yourself. What is it that I am doing? So when I built Wise Focus Media, I was stepping out of a Pan-African advertising agency. All I did was I said, okay, here, this is what goes on. I think I can start a different service altogether in line with media. So in this country, 2008, I stepped out of an advertising agency and started fully fledged media buying.
And you started from scratch, from zero?
From zero. So you see, Mwangala, the idea is very simple here. When you say I started from zero, mainly it's because most mindsets are looking at money. So zero money, yes, but zero mindset, no. I started from a fully fledged mindset, which if you were to equate it or value it in terms of money, you can't even, because the mindset it's priceless. So I started with an idea. Like I was saying, I had to step out of an advertising agency, Pan-African, handling big brands at that time. But because I told myself, look, if you can start now something of your own, in the next 3, 4, 5 years, you would become like this. So was I admiring or trying to fight my bosses? No. Was I frustrated at my job? No, I wasn't. because sometimes people want to start something because they're frustrated, you know. So you're going to get frustrated again when you get to start something of your own. There is no rose flowers without you having to struggle with the thorns there. So by the time you receive them and you're like, wow, this is nice, someone had to clean it up for you. So if you are in a mindset that is very negative, you will not be able to sell well-polished rose flowers. So I had to start that business. Down the route, I had to learn my own lessons with a team of about 8 and paying them real good. It made me feel good. Then I realized that I was so much of an alone person, encouraging my team, training them from within and showing them exactly what I wanted to do, which is usually a challenge of most entrepreneurs. You end up holding it so much and you don't want to start passing it on to other people that they can also help, so that now you start taking a little bit of a step back, so that when mistakes are made, somebody else can see them and start fixing them. So it's a shame. I must say, again, it is a shame that someone will sit out there and say the government is not doing enough.
That was going to be my next question for you, Wiseman. I mean, is it government's responsibility to give us whatever it is that we want? Is it where are we getting this Boomerang? Because I think when you started, it was you and it was not the government. But now what we've seen go around is that Boomerang. Where do you think that is coming from?
Boomerang, I mean, I'm past 40. My father used to say that. So if I'm going to be saying that, have I inherited my father's spirit and mindset? I don't want to do that because I was there. We would cry even for simple things such as mealie meal. My father never had a backyard garden. I saw that. So if today I'm still saying that myself,
means nothing much has changed.
Then I have not done anything much. Now, someone will argue and say, then government has not done anything much from the time of independence. No, I don't agree. There is a lot of things that have happened. I was born and bred here in Lusaka, but I've traveled around the whole country. I've traveled out of this country as well. Honestly speaking, just in Lusaka, you are able to see things that have changed. But has your mindset changed to be able to conform to the changes that are happening so that you can then build yourself? Boomerang, does government have to do everything for us? No, government has got its role that it plays. And these things don't just happen overnight. You will talk about policy in terms of entrepreneurship and all that. Registration of businesses in terms of commerce, investment, and all these things like that, education and the likes. You can't tell me that we are still at the same level from the time I was in grade 2 in terms of the education system. So it's a mindset of negativity that you want to all the time perpetrate that things are bad. It's not true. It's not true that the roads are still as bad as they were during the time I was in grade 5. It's not true that the mealie meal prices have gone up just this time. They've gone up and down all this time. But what have you been thinking at the time that the mealie meal prices are up? When you talk about mealie meal, actually, I must say this, that mainly it's us, the Lusakans, the urban people that are crying about mealie meal. My brothers and sisters out there, the ones we say people are suffering out there, out where?
In the outskirts of Lusaka.
I have traveled. Sometimes I travel with a client interviewing farmers. If anything, actually, my career started in terms of broadcasting, started with me presenting Voice of the Farmer in 1997. I have traveled this country furthest. Yes, when there is poor rain pattern, government Yanganepo, no, obviously people suffer there. When there is a flood and crops don't do well.
But shouldn't government be planning?
How do you plan for force majeure, acts of God? How do you plan for force majeure, acts of God? Actually, in terms of agriculture, you will notice that government had to go and did a program of giving incentives to farmers. You give them fertilizer and seed, so that when they grow the maize, it's maize we're talking about. Many people complain about mealie meal, but there's so many foods you can eat in this country. Government does that, okay? They pass it on. Every single year, a farmer still stands on the queue to get another seed and to get more fertilizer. But they sold the maize. So where is the money? So farming now as a business, for me, I'd really like to say, if I give you once here, start building it up so that you don't need me next. or so that we can give it to the next person.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have that mindset. I think we need to inculcate it so much. Some people are changing, which is very good. I wouldn't put a blanket statement and say we are all bad people as Zambians. No, we're not. Some are really getting to adapt to that. So Boma Yanganepo, I don't think that's a mentality one should be going about on a daily basis. Boma did not Yanganapo during my father's time, in as much as he wanted it, but it Yanganapo somehow. Exactly. It looked on those things in one way or the other. So for me to be saying Boma Yanganepo, I'm simply saying I can't look after myself when government is putting up policies and me understanding and interpreting them so that I can then become successful.
Fantastic. So from what you've just said, mindset is a big thing here.
It is.
If we have the wrong mindset, then we look at everything in a negative way. What exactly must we be doing as a people? How do we then move from a negative mindset to a positive mindset?
It's not that easy, Mwangala. It's not that easy. I mean, I'm talking here, and sometimes I say, look, I'm a ghetto boy. I was born in Chilenje South. We moved into Chibolia. Now, Chibolia, today, as you know it, it's more of a gangster place than it was that time. But Chibolia was still Chibolia, was a shanty compound.
It will always be Chibolia.
And yes, so we lived there all the way through. I started my grade 1 from that side, and moving on, my parents died whilst I was in grade 5. So we moved to Chilenje South by my grandmother's place. And we've got cousins and uncles and staying in that 2-bedroom house, if you know Chilenje well, in Lusaka. It gave me an understanding that, you know what, there is energy and a force and a spirit of God as well, that no matter how much your parents are gone, God is still going to look upon you.
You believe in God, wise man?
Yes, I do. You need to look at what is it that I am going to do with the sun that is shining on me.
Yeah.
You understand? Am I going to complain that it's hot, or I'm going to sit in a swimming pool and cool myself? So you've got to think. And so during that time, I started learning certain things, and sometimes people will come to me and say, you know, you talk like this nowadays because you're privileged. You understand? Because you know that person and that person, because some of your friends are ministers and things like that. I say, listen, sometimes just clap hands for someone, because you don't know where I come from. To walk from Chilenje South, Mungu Road, past Kalomo Road, on foot, to Chibolia Primary School near Dooley Motors there, Comesa Market School there, every day, from grade 5 to grade 6. Was I privileged then? I wasn't.
Not at all.
So during those challenges, as a youngster, lost your parents, it kind of started building me up, but I had to do it myself to say, in such a situation, do that. Start selling boiled eggs and cigarettes at a local tavern in Chilenje in grade 6. There's a train in Chilenje, I pay for my own train. What are you saying that Boma Yanganepo? Okay, so in short, my parents are not there. I realize I must fend for myself. Now, you really need to start building yourself up. Not everyone's parents have died. There are actually other people whose parents died and they were in more situations than myself. But honestly speaking, Mwangala, you can't be a graduate from the University of Zambia. Some of them have got degrees from Oxford, and still today they've not done anything because they're saying there's unemployment in this country.
Exactly.
Why don't you create the employment yourself? Why don't you come up with ideas that you can then create the employment so you start employing other people? So the change of the mindset, take for instance reading books. The culture of reading really needs to be emphasized. Much of what I know today is not because I've been to school. It's because I have read. And I keep reading all the time. And I keep listening to other people who are better than myself, so that then they can bring me up to speed with certain things. There are people who don't believe in books. I spend quite a lot of money on books. I've got a library
full of books.
Full of books.
What are some of the books that have changed you, wise man?
The first one I read was The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. And then I started finding myself reading books by Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich.
Things like
books,
that. So
yeah.
when you start thinking that you can grow rich, you then realize that you're not operating at the same mindset of your primary school teacher or your secondary school teacher. Now you're operating at a mindset of different other people you've never met in life. You're also operating at a different mindset of people that you've never met and not only your parents. You know, so you start igniting and you start getting to a better space of who you become. So I wouldn't say it's that easy, but it has to be a program.
Of course, it's
it has to be built as an attitude.
So would you say some of the challenges that you went through were a blessing in disguise?
Losing my parents, and also not formally finalizing my formal education, finishing my formal education, because I only went up to basic education, grade 9. Okay.
And you've never proceeded?
No, I then started realizing it's not necessary, because everyone is looking for a grade 12 certificate to get employed. I don't want to be employed.
You want to create jobs?
I want to create jobs.
So would you say that was a blessing in disguise?
Yes, it was a blessing in disguise.
Would you encourage somebody to stop school at grade
No,
9?
No, I wouldn't say stop school. What happened with me is that there was no one that could sponsor me to get to the next level. But what is more important is that I failed grade 9 to go to grade 10. And so that was a blessing in disguise. And then I asked myself, okay, if I have failed the curriculum, does that mean I am worth nothing? I started searching. Of course, it was very debilitating, but then I found myself changing, you know, and just saying, okay, it's cool. I don't have a grade 12 certificate. My friends have. Okay, I'm going to do something.
And I'm better than the ones that have grade 12 certificates.
Yes. I can be better, because at that time I didn't know. I can be better. So I then started building myself up, and you won't believe, I walked up to a college, a local college, a private one, and I said, I would like to enroll for journalism. And they said, we need a grade 12 certificate. And I looked at him and said, I don't have it. I said, what? No, I don't have it. No,
but I can read, I can write.
But then we can't certify you. And I said, okay, I don't want a certificate, I want a diploma. I said, we can't do that. I said, okay, it's fair enough. Don't certify me, just teach me and I'll pay. So you teach me. After you teach me, I get that knowledge. I start now making my own business cards and my own company, and I come to you and I say, my name is Wiseman Henry Zulu. I'm the director of Wise Focus Media. I'm the director of this. Will you ask me how old I am or how educated I am?
Of course not. And there you were, clinching deals, making money without a grade 12 certificate.
Yes.
Now, what drove you, Wiseman? I mean, a lot of people are out there, they don't have, qualifications, and they beat themselves because I don't have a grade 12 certificate, because I have not been to college. What drove you? What drives you, if I may ask?
Hunger should drive you. Poverty should drive you. But also the need to provide for other people, and your passion for doing things that you believe you can do should drive you. I think what drives many people and why they don't get to where they're supposed to get is a paycheck so they can be seen their work. I was looking for a house in Woodlands, and someone says, the landlady says, where do you work? I said, I run my own business. She says, no, we can't rent you this house. So people are looking for people who are working at ZRIA, who are working at Ministry of what, and things like that.
In a bank or
so
something.
let's take this. Yeah, a bank.
Because that's security. I mean,
Barclays is owned by entrepreneurs. So I think our mindset needs to start changing and start respecting entrepreneurship. And then people realize, I don't have to be looking for a job. Actually, I have a much bigger position if I can start something of my own. Am I saying let's stop looking for jobs? No. Am I saying everybody should be an entrepreneur? No. But you can discover yourself. You can start searching from within yourself, and then you will be able to see how things go. The book that just sorted me out in terms of reading, like you asked earlier, is titled "Quit Before You Quit Your Job." Actually, Before You Quit Your Job, by Robert Kiyosaki. And I remember it says down there, 10 real life lessons every entrepreneur must know before they start their own business.
I love that. Now, I know on the other side, when we come back, Wiseman, I would like you to take us through some of the lessons that you learned. You built Wise Focus Media.
It crashed.
And it crashed. And you clearly stated that you learned quite a number of lessons. Now you know why it crashed. And if you're going to do it again, you're going to do it much better. So we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, Mr. Wiseman Zulu will take us through and talk about some of the lessons he learned while building his company. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you're joining us now, I'm talking to Mr. Wiseman Henry Zulu, who is a media and marketing consultant. Mr. Zulu is just taking us through his story, and we're also looking at the perception that is out there in our country that things are so bad. So, Mr. Wiseman, we're back again. You built Wise Focus Media. It crashed. You learned some lessons. What were some of those lessons that you learned?
Don't do it in a hurry. Okay, don't do it in a hurry. And when you do it, seek also other professional advice, not just the drive of entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurs will jump whatever height for as long as they see it very clear. Also have a mentor, that is very important, so that then you can be guided to pull the strings, when to pull the handbrake, and when to accelerate and things like that. So have other people who you also are looking up to, so that you do not run out of that energy. There's always the firing back of energy, people giving you advice as well. So I didn't have those things in places. Now I have them, but because I went through those things, what has happened is that now I've also become a mentor, and I also tell myself, instead of me going out to do what I do, I train other people. So, because I've come to realize if I went through what I went through and there was someone who was guiding me, I wouldn't have crashed. So now giving it back to the people or to community has become one of my important passions, that,
so
train other people. Yeah, if anything, those of you that believe in the Bible, you will notice that it says, he who waters gets wet. So you can't be watering and you're not getting wet. So we usually want to go for what we want. Try by giving what you have. You will notice that you will then be having even more. So Wise Focus Media crashed. Did I stop there? Of course, it was heartbreaking. I had to restart all over again. I thought of venturing into different businesses and all that. But, when you're good at what you do, you find phone calls still come, and then you realize, okay, I can still do it. And I have learned that, you also just have to make sure that you get up from where you fall from. There is no need of you quitting the last bit of your race just because you've fallen. Check yourself out. Is my leg still okay? Can I still run at the speed that I was running before I failed? The moment you realize you don't have that much energy and you don't have that much limb to move, ask yourself, can I crawl to the finishing line?
That's
and you start crawling. So I have been in my crawling stage, and now I'm beginning to feel much better, and I am now beginning to run. And with my running so far, we've set up what we call Serge Etalon, which is simply saying wise stallion.
That sounds like French.
Yes, it is. So wise stallion, and then discovered that now I need to encourage myself more. I was wise focused, but now I am a stallion that is wise. Okay, because when you look at horsepower, horsepower is just used in anything, and the power of a horse, if it's not properly directed, if it doesn't have the wisdom, then it can crush certain things. So I'm now Serge Etalon, which is a wise stallion. And apart from that, we do a food business, and that food business, we call it My Meal 100%, just to make sure that the service that we give out there is really that perfect. I'm also into a partnership with two brothers of mine. We call ourselves the Bushman Land, and so we've got a beautiful park, and we're trying to build it up, and so it's going to come. So someone may even ask and say, why are you doing too many things? No, because my mind can manage too many things. That was going to be my question. No, my mind can manage too many things, and that's one other limitation that people have. You think when you're an accountant, that's what defines you. You think when you're a teacher, that's what defines you. You can be an accountant, you can be a doctor, surgical doctor, you can be a medical doctor, you can be anything that you want to be, just provided you guide yourself. In the morning you're doing this, in the evening you're that, this and that. We're multifaceted people, so we usually limit ourselves, and that's why when that thing doesn't work, you know what we start doing? We cry and we start making excuses and looking for who should then feed us. And then the government
comes in. I like the way you put everything together. Now, when I was reading up on you, I was thinking, okay, how did he find himself with an acting job? I think I saw you in is it Mufaya?
It's very interesting. A friend of mine looks at me and he says, because I would put on a lot of mizu caps, and he says, you look like someone who can really act very well. Your face and your demeanor can come out well in a movie that we're about to do. I said, okay, interesting, send me the script. Now, why am I saying send me the script and yet I'm not an actor? It's because my mindset says I can do
all things, I can do it.
I can do it. I mean, if it's there, if other people have done it, why not me? So like I was saying, you don't have to limit yourself as to what you have studied or what it is that people have said it is about you. So I got into Mufaya and I was given a role to act as Uncle Muke. Now, this is purely a very mean uncle who grabbed property of the deceased brother and mistreated his sister-in-law and children and all that, you know. Now, those are stories of the 1980s, property grabbing and all that. So that's what the movie was all about. And I enjoyed myself. The same gentleman, Nasho Maplanga, is working on what he calls silence. Silence was discovered that it can be done based on the issues that are in Chibolia. So you see how things move. And so he created also what he calls Chibolia Media Farm. And I had to go there. We trained young people in Chibolia
and that's
to
where
become
you
camera
came
people.
from.
And that's where I came from. So
everything added up for you.
It added up. And so it comes out very well that at some point in time, give what you have to give to people. So I love that, yes, I'm an actor. So I can say I'm an actor, I'm an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, so let's add it on your resume that
yes,
part of the things that you do is acting.
I do acting.
Now, Wiseman, if you were on your deathbed and you were given a chance to live again, what would you do differently? What are some of the goals you would bring back to life, your dreams?
The first thing, before you give me a chance, I will ask myself, what can I do so that I step out of this deathbed?
Like that.
What should I do? You understand? Because if you're the one giving me a chance to live again, I will have very little control. Yeah.
What is your truth?
My truth is I'm a very stubborn person. I don't easily give up.
I like that.
And I am also a creative person. I've just discovered that. Am I cheeky to people that have got ideas? I'm very impressive. Am I stubborn in the sense that I won't listen to you? No, I am not. I'm going to pick your mind and then we create a different mind. Because with the mindset, Mwangala, just as we are talking here, there is harmony. And it's that harmony that then brings about what we are then thinking of how we can continue together. So I believe in harmony as a very important thing because it creates a separate mind, which is a science that no one has discovered. That if two people are thinking together, then they are able to achieve certain things. I would say, not to blow my own trumpet, I think I am humble in the sense that I would not be extravagant anymore. Have I just become like that? I have learned my lessons.
It's a pleasure to have you on this show. And I know that we've ignited a number of lives and we've left a lasting and positive impact like we always do.
I appreciate that.
Make every day count. This has been Mwangala Chakalashi Santos. Join me for another exciting episode.